Good morning, gladiators. We are about to play S02. Well, gladiators, the first thing you'll notice about this new video is the bed has gone. We've finally moved my son Isaac into a big boy bed now, and that's the bed. So, in case you are wondering if this was my actual, bedroom, it's not. It's literally just a spare room. In place, you've got my keyboard there. This is one of the keyboards that composed some of the Sword and Sandals songs, so it's a very hallowed keyboard. Anyway, I digress, because today on the Games Gladiator, we're checking out Chasm, which is a Metroidvania from BitKit, and this was started in development in about 2013 and only came out in 2018 to good but not great reviews. People liked it. They said it was a bit derivative. They're a little bit disappointed by the procedural nature of it, which some people thought it was a bit of an encumbrance. I've played it already just for about half an hour, and I quite enjoyed it, so I'm keen to play it again on camera and let you know my thoughts on it. So without further ado, let's jump in to Chasm. Alright, BitKit presents Chasm. The first thing we see is this beautifully parallax scrolling background with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of parallax. I'm really into this sort of pixel art, as you probably know from Spartacus, if you've seen any of my games. Start a new game, call it Ollie. Alright. I love the little sound effects. They're very evocative of the sort of 16-bit era, but they're just a little bit more refined than that. There's something quite nicely done. See this thing, the seed? And what this means is you can actually send this number to a friend and they'll play the same map as you, because it's actually a randomly generated game each time, or each time you start a new quest. First thing I notice is just this wonderful, wonderful retro pixel art style, which is quite common these days, but I feel like this one is just a cut above in terms of, how nicely animated it is. You look a little sparkling river in the background. Jareth. We'll skip all these little cutscenes because we don't have a lot of time for that. Basically saying, hey, you fell asleep, you've been sent to the commander's office, you should go and meet him. So down we go, down the ladder. It's a classic sort of keyboard game. You can run and jump. You've got two different jumps. You've got this little jump, and then one where you hold the button down and it's a bigger jump, but the little one feels almost like you're being pulled back down by a string. It's a little bit odd. Takes a bit of getting used to. And you can punch, of course. That's your Castlevania style save point. Now, if you notice that record your progress, that is something that was in a game called Xeliad, which some of you may know is one of my favorite games of all time. That's an old platformer from years ago. Let me go this way. But in that game, when you saved your quest, it would say record your progress, and I wonder if these guys are inspired by that. That's a famous hero from the past. This person is scrubbing. Really cool little animations for that, because you come back to later and they're no longer scrubbing, they're doing something else. More guards. If you want to leave, you have to wait. No one leaves without commander's approval. That's where we're going. There's a little training dummy. Great presentation. Really great values of polish and. 1 second. Excuse me. How rude. How rude indeed. Still getting over this damn cold, which has knocked me around. The whole family's been bloody sick. That's what happens when you have a little kid. They go to daycare and they're constantly bringing back interesting and exotic things, little bugs. So we've been constantly sick. Anyway, here's the commander. He's basically telling us some miners have been attacked by beasts. So we've been sent to the mines because the army's short-handed. So we'll do it, but First thing we're going to do is get to the armory, get ourselves a sword, which is a little bit of annoying backtracking, but that's alright. This is, of course, basically a tutorial, and it's all about familiarizing yourself with the game. So notice this person is now scrubbing the walls. It's a nice little touch. Yeah, top-notch pixel art and animation. I can't speak high enough of that. First mission, grab a sword. Yay, and I'll show you this now. The equipment screen. This is our equipment screen, and you can see you have equipment, inventory, a journal even. You can kind of record interesting things that happen through the game. Special artifacts. You got the map, that's the castle map, which is very similar to like what you see in Metroid or Castlevania. Game options and bestiary, which is basically or bestiary. I always call it bestiary, but it looks like bestiary. You know, it's weird. But that's basically a record of all the enemies you've fought. But what we want to do right now is equip our short sword. Okay, and we can, you know, get helmets and different things for our hands, which is pretty cool. And we now have a sword. One clever thing they've done is they only animate the sword swing, meaning they don't actually have to animate the character with the weapon in hand. And that's something really interesting. I thought about doing that for Spartacus, is just having different weapons and you only show them in hand when he's attacking. Anyway, what are we doing? We're going to keep going. We've been up there. Oh, you know what? I just was talking and I missed the damn exit to the castle. So let's head out now. All done. Everything you need. No turning back. I can't remember. I mean, I've never played the game long enough to come back to the castle, but I'm sure you can to get upgrades. And there's this cool little sort of loading cutscene. Again, beautiful parallax scrolling, but just showing you your journey across this supposedly vast land. The obligatory campfire scene with some shooting stars. It's really lovely. You know, the presentation is great. And the weather turns colder and the music changes to this kind of almost a western feel. It's become blizzardy and difficult to walk. Now, they didn't need to put that animation in there, but they did, and I'm glad they did because it looks great. We're in the town of Carthus now. So this game was successfully kickstarted years ago, and they made a lot of money on the Kickstarter, heaps. And so it's quite a big production for an indie game. Quite a few pixel artists, as far as I'm aware, and long time in development. Which you can go to these rooms, and yeah, we got a book which tells you a little bit of a story. But because it was in development for so long, when they first announced it, there were not that many Metroidvania style games out there, and people were very excited. And had this game been released even a few years earlier than it was, it would have done very well. And not to say it didn't do pretty well, but there were got to get a keep for that. A lot of people said it was just like yet another Metroidvania, and because it sort of had the misfortune of coming out the same year as games like Hollow Knight and Dead Cells and all these other sort of Metroidvania style games. The key, cool. And you get these little quests from there as well. Bring a dish. Alright. I think they're little side quests you can do. Oh yeah, we can bring some missing people back as well. Little side quests. But yeah, a lot of people, the reviews just were not as glowing as they could have been. I think people had high expectations for this game, and while it was meant to be quite competent, people didn't think it was amazing. And so now we're finally in the game proper, and I've only played a couple of minutes. I've done that tutorial already twice now while preparing for the video. Yeah, I actually prepared for this one, but I didn't go further into the dungeon. So we can't go in there. We need to blow that up with dynamite. So down we go. And you can of course jump down. You can knock down these torches. We need something to put on that. It's a little puzzle. One of the problems with procedural design is that it can make the game feel a little uneven, and sometimes it just works out against you. I personally am not a massive fan of procedural generation in platform games, just because I quite like learning a game and, you know, knowing what to expect in many ways and learning the maps, but it does in theory lead to a lot of replayability. Oh, we got some coins. Looks like you should be able to pick those things up, but there's nothing in them. It is quite satisfying to smash the torches anyway and hope you get something. I've got some mana crystals there. Well, climb back up. Oh, poison water. Let me go this way. So he's respawned. So we obviously can't wall climb yet. So that ability we'll get in a little while. Glowworm. I love the music. I really got to tell you, it's excellent. I mean, I love a lot about this game, and I wonder if I feel like I've been influenced a little bit by the negative reviews and have just sort of wanted to like the game a bit more. Having said that, I haven't played that much of it. I've played, you know, just this 2 tutorial sessions and then this session now, so I can see, I mean, right now I love it, but maybe I would be bored after 3 or 4 hours. But then, how long do you need a game to be good for, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people expect their games to be amazing for 20, 30, 40 hours, and if they're not, they get upset, and, you know, I think if you get a few 2 or 3 hours of entertainment from a game that costs you like $8 or $9, that's good value to me. You know, a movie only goes for a couple of hours, and we pay more than that. In Sydney, you pay $25 sometimes for a movie. Expensive here for the big cinemas. But I digress. It's pretty hard to hit those guys without taking damage. Oh, we leveled up. So what happens when you level up? Do we get anything? No, we just get some more stats, but we didn't really get to choose what they do. I mean, there are stats in this game, it seems like, but they're subtle. This does remind me a bit of Zelda in terms of like the character design as well, and I wonder if they were influenced by it. And Zelda is great. It's like one of the classic dungeon crawler style platform games. Probably the first sort of PC platforming role-playing game I got to play back in an era when there was really almost nothing like that to play, and my friend Jeff Wicks and I played it like crazy. You know, we played it so much, and we never quite finished it because it was very hard. I had about 16 dungeons, but they were massive maps, and you had to memorize them and get around and fight bosses and so on. But if you've ever played Swords and Sandals, which I'm guessing you might have if you're watching my channel, you know the armor in Swords and Sandals, the Golden Shield Armory, the guy there, when you leave the shop and he goes, "Rah! If you're going to waste my time, please be on your way." Well, that was from Zelda. I actually stole that, borrowed that, because the armor did that in that game so many years ago and said something very similar, and it was my sort of tribute to that no one really realized. I wish they would remake Zelda in this style, like even if it was this pixel art, but with the Zelda music and quest and everything. I would love to play that because that's one of my favorite games ever. You know, if I was 10 or 11 playing this game, this would probably be one of my favorite games ever too. I think we're spoiled for games now, and as we get older, or as I get older, have less time to play them, unfortunately, and so games don't often get the accolades and the time that they deserve. It also means you can't waste the player's time either. So having lots of procedurally generated dungeons and so on can mean that the game goes on for a little longer than it needs to, and it outstays its welcome. Oh, there's a chest. Give me that good stuff. What is it? Silver ring. Cool, let's equip that. Unadorned ring doesn't really do much. I'm really hurting. I need to get some... We can't climb through there yet, but I suspect we'll be a power up that'll allow us to do that. I need to heal, because we're going to die. So I'm going to go on record and saying as I like Chasm. I really like it so far. I haven't played it long enough to really give you a definitive review or really address, you know, what the complaints that a lot of people had about the game. I mean, sure, it does feel a little bit derivative and, you know, not super unique, but in other ways it does feel really atmospheric and like controls I like. The artwork is beautiful, the atmosphere is great. Ah, I'm dead. Game over, man. So what happens if we load our character? Where do we come back to? What? Right back to there. I'm not starting again from there. Anyway, look. I feel like we've seen enough of Chasm for the day. A lot of fun, and I think I will probably try and play more of this. I always say I'll get it on the Switch, because that's the console I like to sort of relax and play games on the most. When I play games on PC, it's usually for Games Gladiator, and then we play short sessions of them. It gets a thumbs up from me. I liked it, and I think you should check it out if you like Metroidvania games. Check out the reviews, maybe decide for yourself what the real flaws of the game are, but I recommend it. And until next time, my friends, have a wonderful weekend, and bye for now.